There's been also a rise in ransomware and malware. That's been a big issue. And one of the things to know is that they've grown in sophistication. Also with sensitive data within your organization, there's two other types of people you have to look out for. One is the malicious user. There's the malicious person within your organization. There are not too many of them, but they may want to harm the organization, and they'll take your data, or they'll allow your data to be exfiltrated out of your organization. There's another one though, the very common way that data is lost from organizations is just through normal users, just doing their normal business, and they don't realize exactly what they're doing. And so that ends up being a problem. Another is threat vectors. So threat vectors have changed over the last several years. You know, it used to always be there was just email, and threat vectors are essentially the holes where the data is being lost. So email is a big one. That's still continues to be a threat vector. But you know, cloud applications has just grown dramatically. People are using cloud applications, a lot of collaborative activity. So cloud applications have been protected. Data goes out to those cloud applications, SharePoint. There's also the web. There's also our endpoints, traditional endpoints. But the way the endpoints are being used is also changing. The other one is the area of compliance. Compliance is a big issue. You know, a couple of years ago there was GDPR, right? GDPR was a big issue and changed a lot of businesses, the way they did business, the way their websites worked, and all of that. And if it all ended with GDPR, we could probably, I wouldn't accept it. But there's just growing regulations just across the globe. LATAM came out with one last year. There's another one that's actually a recent one about Uyghurs. So it's just like, and all of us are responsible legally to be able to know where our data is, know what that data is, and to be able to report it to discovery. The last thing is remote work. That has made data security more complex. We all know about that because of what's happened with COVID, right? And the growth of the hybrid worker. So I want to talk first to you about data, or second about data, as far as the zero trust concept. How many of you know about zero trust already? What zero trust is? No? Okay. Good. There's one over there. Thank you. Okay. He didn't give you a ticket. No. Anyways, zero trust, for the concept of zero trust, it started about 12 years ago. The idea was, these are the expensive seats up here if anyone wants them. These are the price notes. So, but the concept of zero trust is the idea that you need to verify everyone. Initially, it was network access and network segmentation. The idea is if you went into the environment, you need to be verified first. You were not trusted. There was zero trust. And it sounded like magic, you know, how would that possibly happen? But people haven't been able to work, and they did that as far as zero trust network access. So they did that quite a bit. But over the last 10 to 12 years, this concept of zero trust has grown as a way of dealing with security. To the applications and now to the data. Data, again, like I mentioned, we'll talk about that today. It's an important thing that we're trying to protect. Data can also be treated in a zero trust manner. And the way you do that is you look at the context of the data. Look at what's going on around the data. How are the customers or your users? How are they behaving? What are they doing with the data? And if you can look at all of that, you can continuously monitor your user's environment and then be able to apply zero trust concept to your data. I'm going to show you how that works. But this one quote I just want to point out from Forrester. This is what they're saying as far as the zero trust today and the importance of data. They say to be truly zero trust, you need to monitor what's taking place and who's doing what in your infrastructure. That's really important. I want you to just stop here and think about it for a moment. You need to monitor what's taking place, right? And who's doing what in your infrastructure. What are people doing and what is their behavior? It's key to getting this context around data to be able to be successful in zero trust security. The other aspect I mentioned before was the threat vectors, either 5 across the board. The key to this, a lot of times you see a company in those, we have an excellent email security solution, great email security solution. And if you want, you can use a data loss prevention program that's integrated with that email security solution. Another company might go to them for cloud, for the CASB stuff, for the cloud applications. They'll have an integrated DLP, data loss prevention solution. And companies end up having multiple data loss prevention solutions. And that's really, we don't want that, because the idea of T4 Zero Trust is you want to have a centralized view of the behavior around your data, right? And the ideal thing is a centralized, managed, unified policy that cuts across all of these threat vectors to get that zero trust. This is an example of using risk adaptive protection. That's a feature within the ForcePoint DLP program. And the idea is that you're continuously monitoring all the people in your environment, and they either get a low risk, medium risk, high risk, or critical risk level score based on their behavior, what's going on, what they're doing around that data. So this is an example of a person. The first thing is they stockpiled some data on a local drive. And so that bumped them up. They became a low risk user in the environment. We got 24, right? Then the next thing is they attached some of that data to a personal email account. A lot of us have done that. We use our personal email, maybe we send something to ourselves. It's not necessarily critical, right? But it is also a risky activity. So it's been bumped up, and instead of blocking, you don't want to block everybody every time they do something that's a little risky. The enforcement here is user prompt to confirm action. So when they do that, they try to use their personal email, they get a prompt that comes up. Just ask them, are you sure you want to do this? Okay? They recognize they're being seen, but they're also informed that this is kind of risky behavior. Are you interested in doing this? They can confirm, or they can stop right there, which would be the ideal, right? Lots of good seats up here if you guys want to sit. These ones are expensive. I keep telling everybody. Yeah, see, Greg? It's a great seat. Anyway, but okay, so just keep going on this illustration. So then what happens over 30 days, their risk score goes down. And then something starts going on with this particular user. They copy text from a sensitive application. That's the first thing. It bumps them up. They're a low risk user. It's a sensitive application. The next thing is they do a screen capture of the technical diagram. They didn't have the access to the diagram, so they do a screen capture instead. That also is risky. It bumped them up to a medium level. Then the third thing they did is they uploaded data, some of that data, onto a USB drive. Attach the USB to their laptop or whatever, and then they upload it to that. That is also good. That is quite risky, right? And we want to have good device monitoring. But what we did in this case, because of this, they're now at the high level, that data going to the USB attachment was encrypted. So that it's encrypted, it can only be used with the laptop. It can be used somewhere else, it cannot be used. That data is unusable. It's a way to give enforcement without blocking. Then this person attempts to uninstall the DUP agent. Try to uninstall the agent that's monitoring all of this on their laptop. That is risky because it's showing that they're trying to hide their tracks, essentially. And then the last part, a large attempt to upload to personal cloud. And so they've done all of these things. The combination of all of these things, all of the sequence, brought them to a critical level. They're considered a critical risk at that point. Now the thing is, for all of you right now, if you were in a work environment working, how many of you would you like to know that data is being lost right now at this minute? How many would you like to know if it's happening right? Okay. How many of you would like to know before the data goes out? That data is about to be lost. How many would you like to know that? A little bit more. Okay, that's good. You know what happens with this person? Because of this behavior, the context around the data, and the sequence of things, the person is blocked. This is a time when the person should be blocked because of what's been going on. Right? They're a critical risk to the company. So we have granular policy actions based on the risk level, and then given this context, a more informed decision because we have it tightly integrated. This is an example looking inside our DLP, our software solution, and we're looking at the policies. We have over 1,500 predefined templates and policies that companies can work with, and we're looking at the credit cards as an example. And credit cards, that's sensitive information, right? It needs to be protected. We have compliance issues around there as well. And then you go over the severity and action, we can then enforce, do some type of enforcement. The typical enforcement is block. And you can't block everybody that has a credit card and just around. It's not practical. So they put it in an audit, which is not useful. Then, if someone gets to a low level, what they could do then If they're low level, they might just need some user coaching. If they're about to send out a credit card, just get an email saying you should maybe do that. The third thing might be notify the manager if they're higher. If they're a truly high risk, encryption might be the solution. If they are critical at that point, they should be around. And that's when it should happen. And so you want to have this personalized, automated method for remediation. And it cuts across, I'm still showing with Nepal, so it cuts across all of these different threat vectors that I mentioned before. So you can cloud email through here, you can manage your cloud applications through here, you can manage endpoints, you can manage network, all of those things can be managed all in a single place through the cloud. And you have risk adaptive protection also with telemetry telling you of what's going on through all of those threat vectors. This is an example of one of our companies that we've worked with, the Fortune 50 telecom company. And this company, they implemented risk adaptive protection. And what they found in the first 2 months, they were able to block 200,000 plus true actual data violations.
Welcome back.
Go ahead. No.
So
It's actually, I was talking to
but they were able to get accurate blocks. So not false positives.
yeah, Darren.
And then they were also able to avoid
Really
millions of
good.
dollars a month.
He's really good. And he's been, and I'm like, my rentals got acquired.
Let's go and pick up where you left off.
So that's really the goal. If we reduce those, it saves an enormous amount of time, it's more effective, it offers true data, zero trust. So, this is just the final stuff, but I encourage you all to go here. We have a couple of minutes to talk to you about DLP and what we're doing with data loss prevention. So feel free to talk to both of them. They're both busy, but if you just go walk toward them, they might start talking to you. And it's time now for the raffle. So we have our raffle waiver coming. So make sure you take out the ticket.